everyone, welcome back if you've been watching. This video is going to show you how to properly dry your dog, but before we dive into that, I just wanted to emphasize why it's so important to dry your dog. It's not just to have straight hair, make them look pretty, it really is healthier for good hair growth and for their skin. One of the reasons dogs get hot spots is because there's moisture trapped in the skin, so if you don't dry them all the way and get all that undercoat out, that may be one of the reasons why your dog has hot spots. So it's actually very healthy for their skin to dry them all the way. Second reason being it's really good at getting all that undercoat out. You can brush your dog every day for a week and still have undercoat falling out, but I guarantee you it'll save you so much time if you just invest in a dryer and use it after a bath. It does so much better getting all the undercoat out. And it needs to be a high velocity dryer, so not just your personal hair dryer. It really needs to be one of the professional grooming dryers. Reason number 3 is to prevent matting. So mats form really easily when the hair is just left to air dry. Aussies are really prone to getting mats behind the ears, on their belly, or behind the hind legs. So if you don't dry it all the way, it's probably going to be resulting in a mat. And you really don't want that. That's bad for their skin. Not fun to get out. Just want to avoid those entirely. Reason number 4 is using the dryer is actually really good and helpful for checking the body for fleas, ticks, or anything starting to happen with the skin. The air does a really good job at separating the hairs, much better than you getting your fingers in there. So it's actually really effective at just going over the entire dog. Every time I bathe my dogs, I check them completely when I'm drying them with using the dryer, just to make sure I don't see anything weird happening. And reason number 5 is the obvious reason, for shows. It is absolutely imperative that you dry your dog all the way every time they get wet, or they will curl, unless you're one of those rare Aussie people that have straight hair naturally. It probably is going to curl. Every time I take my dogs to the beach or to the pool, I give them a full bath and a full blow dry every time. It's really the only way to get straight hair consistently. And a good example of that is for ladies, when you go to the salon and get your hair blown out, it looks different than when you just let it air dry. The same is for our dogs. If we don't blow dry it, it's probably not going to look the best. And it is possible, if you consistently do it, to train the hair to go the direction that you want. So hopefully you understand the importance of it now, so let's dive into it.
After washing your dog, the first thing you want to do is towel dry them really well. I had already done this with Turbo for the most part. But you want to make sure to dry their face as much as you can with the towel to minimize the time needed to dry it with the blow dryer. As comfortable as my dogs are with the dryer, they still don't like their face to be blown dried. You can get it pretty much completely dry with a towel and then let it air dry, and the face is the only place that I would recommend letting air dry. Next, as you saw me just do, I would spray them all over with a leave-in conditioner. I am using the Isle of Dogs Strengthened Conditioning Spray. I'll leave a link below for all of the products and tools I've used in this video. Moving on to the dryer, I am using an Easy Dry 1. It is just as important to have the right attachment as it is to have a good quality dryer. Most dryers will come with a cone head and a flat tip head. However, the flat tip one is the one you really need. Aussies normally dry pretty fast and their hair is not super thick, so you never really need to use the cone attachment anyways. And the flat tip is the one that's really important if you want to have straight hair. The first area you should dry is the area that gives you the most problems, meaning the area that curls for most show dogs, or the area that mats for most companion dogs. This is normally always the top line for me, and it is always where I start. Whenever you are using a blow dryer, you want to always angle the air the same direction that you want the hair to lay when it's dry. So for the top line, this means you should angle the dryer so that the air is blowing towards the tail. Start at the tail, and with a back and forth motion left and right, slowly move the dryer towards the head, but always blowing towards the tail. You will continue this pattern until the top line is completely dry. Another very important rule when drying a dog is to be brushing at the same time. The slicker brush is the only brush I use when drying my Aussies, and the slicker brush is really the best at separating the hairs and pulling out dead undercoat. Using the slicker brush with the dryer, you will be able to remove all of the dead undercoat, which will help them dry faster and it will be much healthier for the skin. When using the brush, you should always brush in the same direction the dryer is blowing. You never want to brush against the dryer. Once you've got the top line or your problem area dry for the most part, you can move on to the rest of the dog. After drying the top line, I normally move on to the sides or the rear, and I save the head and mane until last. Reasoning is because the britches are also a prime location for mats, and you never want to let that area air dry. One of the tricks you'll see me do is I use my hand that's not holding the dryer to feel if I've gotten the dog completely dry. What I do is I hold my hand right behind the hair that I'm drying. If I feel any coolness or wetness, I know the dog still isn't dry there. It is important to dry your dog completely, especially if you plan on showing them. If you don't, they will curl, and they may also develop mats wherever you left them damp. Now when it comes to the ears, most dogs are extremely sensitive to the dryer, and with good reason. Dryers are normally really loud, and especially if you aim the dryer directly into your dog's ear. Just try it on yourself. What I do is I pull the ear straight forward and I hold it along with holding the dog's head still, so that I can get behind the ears safely. If this area is not 100% dry, I guarantee it will mat. Start by putting the dryer on a low speed first, so that it's not as loud or scary, and have someone help you by holding and rewarding the dog until they are comfortable with the dryer. Another tip is to let your dog sit while you're working on the head or the chest. It can be very tiring, especially for the seniors, so letting them sit just makes it a little bit more enjoyable for them. I wanted to give you guys a close-up on drying the britches, so I saved this area for last. Remember I had said normally I would do this area after the top line. I spent a lot longer on this area earlier, but I didn't realize the camera stopped recording. The important thing to take away here is that you are able to see the skin everywhere you point the dryer. So start at the bottom and work your way up. If you can't see the skin, keep brushing and pointing the dryer there until you can. However, I'll caveat that by saying if it's already dry and you still can't see the skin, that probably means you already have a mat, so you will need to cut it out. Sometimes brushing just does not work for mats. So once you think you've got your dog finally dry, I normally just take one last pass on the top line to make sure everything looks good. And that's it. Thanks for watching.